Tess Ingram is from UNICEF, and she joins us live now from Al Mawasi in Gaza. Tess, always good to see you. So has this strike, these overnight strikes, and we were hearing from our correspondent a bit earlier in the bulletin that strikes have even continued into the morning. How are these renewed strikes affecting your aid delivery and your ability to help people on the ground?
We, of course, are very concerned about the impact of strikes having a negative effect on humanitarian work. But I think the main concern here is the impact these strikes have had on families. They've killed over 100 people in about 24 hours, including reportedly 46 children. And to put that into context, over the past 2 years, an average of 27 children were killed every day. So today was a very dark day in Gaza with 46 children reportedly killed and another 78 injured.
But what has been your immediate reaction then? I mean, as you're saying, 46 children, 100 families, people were, we were in the state of having a ceasefire, and now there's been another strike. So how are you helping those families?
Well, we're doing everything in our power to bring in more aid to the Gaza Strip. We've doubled the volume of aid that we've brought in since the ceasefire went into effect compared to before the ceasefire, but it's still not enough given the immense need on the ground. And that's not because we don't have the supplies ready. We do. They're pre-positioned outside, 1,500 UNICEF trucks, but it's the volume of aid that's being allowed in by the Israeli authorities is still too low and it's too slow. So we need to see the Israeli authorities open all of the crossings into the Gaza Strip and increase the volume of aid so that we can do more. But for example, this week we've helped restock hospitals with the medical supplies that children need. And I was at Nasser Hospital today where, again, there are more injured children from these strikes who need that life-saving medical care.
But if strikes escalate, what contingency plans do you have in place?
Well, we've been here for 2 years throughout, the horrors that we've seen. It's been one of the most difficult and dangerous places in the world to be humanitarian, and we will continue to do that job. We're not going anywhere. Of course, a ceasefire is an opportunity that must be seized in order to scale up the humanitarian response, and it is critical that it is upheld. So we're calling now on all of the parties to the ceasefire to adhere to its terms. That's what we're focused on, to make sure that it remains in place, but we're ready in case that it doesn't.
And so in terms of the fact that, obviously winter is now slowly drawing in, how are you going to scale up your efforts, and where will you focus your efforts?
It's a good question. The stakes remain incredibly high, despite there having been a ceasefire that in and of itself doesn't end a famine or provide families with shelter. So we've been focused on making sure that we're bringing in nutrition treatments for malnourished children, scaling up the production of safe drinking water for families and trucking it to them in their places of refuge, no matter where they are, and shelter. As you say, winter is right around the corner, so we've been bringing in tents, tarpaulins, blankets, mattresses, and winter clothes for children. In the ceasefire, we want to try and give every child under 10 in the Gaza Strip a new set of winter clothing to help them survive the cold weather ahead.
Indeed. Now, we of course all hope that this ceasefire does hold, but before it came into effect, there were talks of a famine taking hold in parts of Gaza, especially around Gaza City. So what have you been able to effect in terms of helping people with their nutrition?
We've brought nutrition supplies into the Gaza Strip, and we've been administering those to malnourished children and pregnant and breastfeeding women at our clinics across the Gaza Strip. And we've also managed to increase the number of clinics, which is important because using Gaza City in the north as an example, we had more than 40 centres there before the Israeli offensive in August and September. But by the end of that offensive, at the beginning of October, we had 7. So there was a dramatic reduction in the availability of services to people, and we're now scaling that back up. So we know that we are hopefully making a dent in the number of children with malnutrition across the Gaza Strip, but it's only been a few weeks and much more needs to be done because there are thousands of children who are currently suffering from malnutrition in Gaza.
Indeed. Well, hopefully you can make that dent and do a lot more than that. Tess Ingram from UNICEF, as always, thank you.